Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia and welcome to the summary for the day of 688 for the 12th of January. For those that are okay, so we start off with the frontline changes, and there is a lot today. 5 different frontline changes. We'll go to the 6 different frontline changes. The first one is over here in the Novomykhailivka region. So this is the Donetsk city. So this is Donetsk city, and this is the Donetsk Front at the Novomykhailivka region. Ukrainian forces is actually here. This is the Novomykhailivka, and the Russian forces, as I mentioned in a few SITREPs ago, the Russians are becoming a crab. They are going sideways, and as they go sideways, they captured this area here, and this time round they have taken this new area here. In the south of Novomykhailivka. So if you look, this is Novomykhailivka. Oops. This is Novomykhailivka. So in the south of it. And this area here, the main feature is actually the capture of this tree line. The Russian forces probably have pushed up in this area here, and they stormed this tree line and actually established control along the tree line. The Ukrainians is most likely on the other tree line on that side. So this is the situation. The Ukrainian forces, of course, is along this chain of settlements along the river, and yeah, so the noose is definitely closing. And as I mentioned previously before, because of the difficulty in capturing Novomykhailivka, as the Russian forces they tried to attack directly, it failed. It didn't work out very well, although they still hold a close southern front line and along the village. It looks like they may want to continue to spread westward and perhaps hit into the rear. So in this way, so if they capture this particular tree line, the Russian forces can launch an attack towards this water body around this area here at Paraskovievka and actually cut off the roads and force the Ukrainians to go the long way around to the rear position. The Russian forces, of course, can also go further down the valley towards the road linking Konstantinivka, which is actually this position towards Voleda. So in case you do not know, that's Voleda. Okay, let me zoom out. You might get confused the orientation. So this is Konstantinivka, and the road down, this is Voleda. So this is where the fighting currently is happening. So I believe this is the plan, cut off in that plan, and then they move out. Terrain wise, this area here is super flat. There is some gradient, some landscape gradient, but it's not like very big difference. It's pretty much super flat. So we go to the next frontline changes, which is over here, which at the Avdiivka sector in the Zaporizhzhia Front. So if I zoom out, this is Zaporizhzhia, and this is the Zaporizhzhia Front. So this frontline change is very slight. It is over at Verbove. This is Verbove, and the Russian forces have pushed further out a bit. So it's a little bit, it's probably the conquest of the tree line and pushing westward to take more of this entrenchment. There is the whole chain of entrenchment, build up entrenchment trenches and fortifications all along this entire road. So this road is very hard fought over. Previously, we get to this point because the Ukrainians actually did a counterattack and managed to go to this point. But they have now since been pushed back by the Russian forces. So the area here is extremely difficult because this is heavily entrenched. This is part of the famous Surovikin line. So otherwise, yeah, it's still largely a rather flat place. So it is what it is. We move on over at this. This is the Velika Novosibirsk sector. So let me pull down. So Velika Novosibirsk sector also on the Zaporizhzhia front. So this is Velika Novosibirsk, and so over at the western part of Staromaiorske, this is Staromaiorske, which the Ukrainians currently controls. The Russian forces continue their push on the western part of Staromaiorske. So so the last attack was reported 12, which is just. This is based on the information coming from Ryba and the Ukrainian Defense Ministry about the fighting, and this is then reflected in the change in the front line on Deep State UA's mapping. So it's still largely the fighting along these these tree lines, going down this tree line towards Staromaiorske. This entire area similarly is heavily entrenched. The entire tree line is just full of trenches. It looks like some ant nest, or whatnot. So it will be a slow crawl into that direction. The situation here is actually quite difficult for the Russians if they want to continue to push, because if you look, there's still tree lines around this area here. So as the Russians push down this direction, they're going to get fired upon by the Ukrainians in multiple directions. So it will be, they can be stormed from the rear as well. So it will take some time. The Russians probably going to push northward from this point onwards to capture this stronghold along the road, and then they can actually continue to push eastward towards Staromaiorske. So otherwise, yep, this is Staromaiorske. The Ryba mentioned this valley region as the Vataya Gully, and if you zoom in, you can see that it is something like a very tiny river-ish kind of thing. A very slight valley around this region here, and that direction is Staromaiorske. So yeah, so something interesting, some of the land feature around this geolocation. We move on. I'm not sure where are we now. Where are we now? Okay. Oh, let me click on this. Click on this. Okay, so the next is, whoa, yeah, Google Earth really zoom in too fast or too much. Over at the Avdiivka Front. So this is Avdiivka city. The Avdiivka Front, this time round the change come from the geolocation at Stepove. So there is this is a geolocation of the front line. So the Russian forces in that video is shown to drive up and attack the Ukrainian positions within the village itself. This is Stepove. Further south there is Bedaichi, and then Semenivka and whatnot. So all very strategically important settlements. So this is not a full capture. This is just an increase of the gray zone, because I don't think the Russians dares to stay within the village. So this is just a raid. So no, that's what it is. If you are interested in the terrain, it is pretty much flat, and tree lines. It's just trees. All you're going to see is trees if you're underground. And if you want to see how it looks like from the ground, do we have something on the ground we can see? Is there yeah, I think they disabled it. Yeah. Oh no, there is just nothing over at Stepove to see. So yep, that's it from that region. So we move further to the next one. To the next geolocation. This is the fifth one, and guess where? This is actually at Spirne. So this is the Siversk Front. So this is Siversk city. So the main change is actually over in the northern part of Siversk. So let me turn off. Too many stuff is open. Okay, go away. Okay, so over at Spirne, basically this is just a reduction of the gray zone. Deep State US mapping do not claim this area anymore. They claim that the Russians are now controlling this line over here. So yeah, so the Russians have actually made some advance in the northern part of Spirne. So Spirne is actually the settlement just south of here. This is Spirne, and you see based on this satellite imaging, you think that where are the Russians capturing? Where are they hiding? And I will tell you is actually there's a tree line around here. and this tree line is super super destroyed. It's totally, all the trees are gone, and so which is why you probably can't see it, because in this is a updated satellite imagery, so you can see all the artillery shelling marks, all the all the polka dots, or the all the pimples over at the at this area here, which is why there is entrenchments definitely around all these trees, which is where the Russians actually established their new position after the capture. So this area here, this is, I believe, the high ground as compared to Spirne. You can see this is a high ground, and this is actually very strategically important to capture before you can actually capture the rest of Spirne. So because Spirne is actually on the lower ground, you see, it's actually sloped down. Spirne is actually sloped down, and so by establishing a position around this area here, this is the high ground, the Russian forces can rain down fire in this direction and force the Ukrainians to redraw out of Spirne. So this is the importance of this fighting in the north of Spirne. Of course, there is also high grounds in the south, which is also largely controlled by the Russian forces. And the final geolocation of frontline changes is over here. This is at the Kreminna Front. So this is Kreminna. So at the Kreminna Front, basically this is actually on the east of Terny. So this, you can see this Terny, and this time around this is actually a Ukrainian advance. So this geolocation, which is actually shelling of the Ukrainian forces along in this tree area, on these trees, caused the geolocators to confirm that the Ukrainian forces is actually at this position. So which means that the Russian forces have actually withdrew from this area here, or they have been pushed out by the Ukrainian forces. So this is actually part of those gullies. They call it it's actually, to me, it's just valleys. So you can see how this valley works. So yeah, it's not, it looks like it's supposed to have a river here, but it just didn't have a river. So they have some roads, but no, traveling down this road, you can rain fire from both sides and die. So fighting in this area here is pretty troublesome, because you have to be mindful of fire from the opposite side, and then the higher ground is actually further up here. So the high ground is actually here. So it's a very important battle, because if you control this area, you control the high ground, and so this is what the frontline changes is. So for those that are just interested in frontline changes, this is it, and we'll go into the other analysis, which I will go to our usual mapping, and yeah, the eyes feels better now, right? So we move on to the other coverage. So okay, for those that are still here watching, the more less interested in the details people, which sums up with a short word called superficial, but it sounds very offensive, and we are defensive politics Asia, so we have to be very defensive, so we have to be very offensive, so you are superficial. And so the talking about weather, so zoom out a bit, you can see the weather patterns. There is some kind of movement of water of the clouds in this direction. So the clouds from the Black Sea is moving up, so which means it's going to bring more snow and more water, but perhaps some warm air. I'm not sure if it's warm further up north. So if it makes things warmer, then it might cause rain, and then it may cause mud and freeze. But I think the weather is a bit too cold, so it is what it is. So yeah, so moving back to this one. So okay, so we move into the frontline details in the strategic picture. So because I no longer go into every single source, so we are only covering strategic or maybe some macro tactical situations along all the different front lines. So because the details we already covered in the frontline changes already. So and yeah, so this is a totally new format that I'm trying out right now, So hopefully it's more engaging, more interesting, and you can actually get more information than just me ranting all these different sources. As usual, we go into the Kupyansk Front. At the Kupyansk Front, so Kupyansk city is this Kupyansk city is here. This is Kupyansk city, and this is the Kupyansk Front. Situation remains very similar. The fighting reported at Sinkivka. There is no reports of Ukrainians attacking Sinkivka. Maybe because the Russian Defense Ministry did not do a day report. They do a weekly report, which I do not use. So as a result, we don't have a Ukrainian attack. The Ukrainian Defense Ministry also reported Russians attacking Petropolivka in their morning report. So strategic situation remains similar. They still remain clashing around this northern part of the Kupyansk Front. The one news, however, coming from Ryba saying that due to the series of failures, they need to go to failure management class. But anyway, they are now moving into a stage of positional clash. So which means that the Russians have given up. If Ryba is actually correct. So which means that the Russians have basically given up currently, for now, the attempt to capture Sinkivka. The Ukrainian defensive positions in this area seems to be extremely competent, and which is why the Russians are unable to capture Sinkivka. They can't make a lot of breakthroughs around the forest because forest is always difficult. It's just like the Serebranski forestry; it takes forever, and with this settlement sitting just next to a forest, it is extremely difficult. It reminds me a little bit of the time when the Battle of Izium is going on, because Izium is also surrounded by forest. So it took a long time to clear. So that's all from the Kupyansk Front. Over at the Svatove Front, situation remains the same. Is basically at Makhiivka. The Makhiivka situation, fighting is continuing to be reported here from the. So this is already 2 days already that the Ukrainian Defense Ministry claimed that the Russians are attacking Makhiivka. We will continue to monitor and see if this really develops into something major, because the Russians they're not very excited about talking about their offensive operations. So it takes a few days before the Russian authorities will start to talk about it, and when they talk about it, we will know. We'll be able to endorse this or corroborate this information coming from the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. And over at the Kreminna Front, this is Kreminna. At the Kreminna Front, there is, so other than the frontline changes where the Ukrainians go down the gully, it feels like gut to me, and it feels like stomach. So go down the valley down, which is not reported. It's probably part of the previous battles that was being reported around here. Probably on the 10th of January, that changed. The Ukrainians were reported to have attacked at Torske. Let me zoom out a bit. I think this is a bit zoom in. So at Torske, and the Russians were reportedly attacking Krychorivka. So information, this Krychorivka, actually information coming from who? Oh my god. Coming from the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, while the Torske coming from Ryba. So this is a strategic situation. It feels like things slow down a bit. I wonder if something to do with the weather. So we shall continue to wait and see if that's the case. Let me move. I want to move the camera a bit. If I can. Yeah. If I want to cover the box, I cover properly. So that's all. We move on. And this relaxed, let me know if this relaxed way of reporting is okay. I think, although sometimes I think I will still talk very fast because because sometimes I'm in a rush, I'm rushing out. So today a bit more not so rush. So at the Siversk Front, this is Siversk city. At the Siversk Front, the Russian forces, as per just now mentioned, captured the tree line on the northern part of Spirne. The fighting reported at Vasily continues to be reported. After missing out 1 day, on the 11th, we see the fighting being reported again on the 12th. So 9, 10, I believe 11, there's probably something happening as well. Just that it was not reported. So 12, it's 4 days already. So we not sure if this is going to be, I'm not sure what kind of operation is this, because no one else talks about it, only the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. So, and again, this is the kind of hellish landscape, to fight through. It will take a long time unless you have a World War II style, 100 tank rush, yeah, if not, I think it's gonna be difficult. So over at the Bakhmut Front, so this is the Bakhmut Front. At the Bakhmut Front, strategic situation remains the same. Russians attacking in the Bodanivka region towards Ivanivsky, towards Klishevka and Andriivka. So a lot lesser details, and that's generally what we have for the past 24 hours. So we move on from the Bakhmut Front. Over at this New York, we have nothing. Over at the Avdiivka Front. So coming back to the Avdiivka Front, the Avdiivka offensive continues, but this time around the Ukrainian Defense Ministry reported much lesser actions. The name of the places that was seen fighting is only in the northern part of Avdiivka, Novomykhailivka and Nevelske. So that's all we heard, or what DPA have read from the sources that we trust. And otherwise, we have all these geolocations. Ukrainians geolocated in the coke plant, Russians geolocated on the front line at Stepove. Ukrainian forces are reinforcing Berdaichi as well as the coke plant region to strengthen. I think the situation in this area here is getting a bit precarious. They need to reinforce because in yesterday's SITREP, if you missed it, the Russian forces were attacking the coke plant. So, and they were attacking, of course, towards Novomykhailivka, and they were attacking Stepove. So, this is probably just some reinforcement to make sure that they can hold the front with new troops and fresh troops. So, that's all from the Avdiivka Front. Nothing in details in terms of Novomykhailivka and Nevelske. And we move into the Donetsk Front. So this is the Donetsk Front. At the Donetsk Front, there is quite a number of icons you can see. So over at the Marinka region, fighting is now reappearing at Krasnohorivka, and fighting continues towards Georgievka at the Marinka region. And this one particularly maybe is in the north and not in the south. But because administratively are putting it in the south, so we get to put it there first. Ryba also mentioned Boyeda as well as fighting in the north of Novomykhailivka. Fighting continues around the Novomykhailivka region and further south. So let's move further south, and I'm gonna move this entire thing up. So there is fighting reported, of course, through the frontline changes. We know of the fighting in the south of Novomykhailivka, moving towards Konstantinivka, or the highway between Voleda and Konstantinivka. So this is all, and so this looks like a very big offensive operation. So let's wait and see if this translates to something more. And move on. Nothing at the Voleda region. The fighting at Pelivka that was previously mentioned in previous SITREP on the 11th was not mentioned again. So it was a one-time attack, or it was supposed to be a much bigger attack, and then it got eliminated. We move into further west. At the Novodonetsk region, the Russian forces are reportedly attacked from Novodonetsk towards Zolotaneva. Fighting is reported south of Zolotaneva, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. So, and that's about it in this area here. So, over the Zaporizhzhia Front. So Zaporizhzhia Front is a much bigger front line. It stretches here. So we have broken up into different sectors, which is the Velika Novoselka sector, the Ukhoyapole sector, Orikhiv sector, and the Kayamsky sector. So at the Velika Novoselka sector, the fighting was reported as per the frontline changes in the western part of Staromaiorske. So otherwise, there's still nothing over at Prione. So that's all from the Velika Novoselka sector. We have nothing over the Huyapole sector. At the Orikhiv sector, this Orikhiv, the Russian forces continue their Orikhiv, their offensive, the counter-offensive over at the Orikhiv, the Robotine Verbove region. So this is Robotine, this is Verbove. So the Russian forces continue to attack Robotine in the western part of Verbove and from Verbove. The only one that we actually have any frontline changes is the one that I already shown you on the outskirts of Verbove. So this color should not be so dark. Yeah. So this is a strategic situation. It remains the same. So yeah, the Ukrainian attack towards Novoprokopivka is also gone. So yeah, the Ukrainians did try. You cannot fault them for not trying. So Kayamsky sector, there's nothing. So that's all from the Zaporizhzhia Front. Over at the Kherson Front. So this is the Kherson Front. This is Kherson City. And the Ukrainian forces continue to have their beachhead over at Krinky. Russian forces continue to be reported by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry to be attacking Krinky. And that's about it. Some geolocation, there's one geolocation by Kreminna Front showing counter battery or counter artillery actions with the Russians shelling Ukrainian artillery over this position. Again, so let me so zoom in a bit. So at this position, the distance between this to Krinky is around within 20 kilometers. So this is definitely able to provide very good cover fire for Krinky, as well as the other beachhead over in the south of Dnipropetrovsk. So this, and also Kozache Lahire. So this Kozache Lahire, Pistepny, Poima, Pishanivka, Dnipropetrovsk. So all these regions here are Ukrainian beachheads, and particularly Krinky is the major ones. So this artillery can cover all the beachheads. So it's a very, very strategically positioned place, but it also means that it's actually very easy to find for the Russian drones operators. So that's it for the Kherson Front, and that's it. So this is the summary for the day of 688 for the 12th of January. Do let me know what you think about the new format. Is it draggy? Is it good enough? Did it cover what you want? And if it's talking about war footages, no, I'm not gonna put them. The main reason is the video can get demonetized, and I don't really want to take the risk, because the reason why it will not is only because it went through by the AI. At the moment it went through by humans, they will strike down the video for reduced monetization, and it's just defeat the purpose of doing the report. So thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next update.